Come with me to flip a gaming PC for some nice profit. In my last PC flipping until I buy a house episode, I left off with listing a computer for sale, and well now, about 2 weeks later, it's finally got a buyer for it. So today we're gonna be selling that computer, and then I want to talk to you about my future PC flips and like what I want to do about them, and then also talk to you about a new meta that's going on in PC flipping. Honestly, it's not super new or anything, it's just about those fish tank style PC cases. We're seeing a lot of manufacturers start to make their own, like DIY PC, it's a super budget friendly. Corsair just launched their new one, Montech, there's like, I don't know, there's a lot, that's all I can think of right now. How did I literally forget about who started it all? Lee. Yes, those type of cases. They're really popular. Anyways, we'll talk about all of that right after a word from today's video sponsor. This video is sponsored by Ugreen and their new NAS Sync series. More specifically, the DXP 4800 Plus. This is a 4-bay NAS system. It supports up to 96 terabytes of storage. You can either load it up with hard drives or SATA SSDs, and it even has room for 2 NVMe slots, which is also where they have the RAM, and that RAM is expandable all the way up to 64 gigabytes. It also features a 5-core Intel processor, so navigating through their software is super smooth. Now, getting the NAS all set up and running is super simple. You just plug in the power cord and plug in the included Ethernet cord into the 10 gigabit or 2.5 gigabit network port. And as far as data transfer goes, it supports speeds of up to 1,250 megabytes per second. Once you power this thing on, it basically walks you through the whole setup process, from formatting the drives and recommending the best settings to choose. Their all-inclusive app center offers a lot of different useful apps, from file syncing and backup, and they even have a built-in AI smart assistant, which allows you to search for keywords, then it sorts through all your storage for you. If you're wanting more control over how you store your personal information, then check out the DXP 4800 Plus with the links in the description. Once again, a big thank you to Ugreen for sponsoring this video. So the computer I'm selling is right here on the floor. Well, here it is in all of its glory, shining nice and purple. There's a little button up here, we can change the RGBs. And there we go. Okay, so I'm actually going to sell this computer like right now. And the reason I took it out of its packaging is to set it up and get a video for the buyer. I do this for all of my flips. It kind of does get annoying to have to do it, but one, it gives me peace of mind that it was in working condition when it left my hands. And then it also shows the buyer that it was working on the date they bought it at the time that we met up, at least like 10 minutes before we met up. And it shows all the correct specs in the computer. The main reason though I do it is the peace of mind factor. Okay, now to shut this thing down, get it packed up, and head in the whip. So this PC is a delivery special, and luckily they're only like 4 minutes away from me. I have you all the way down here because I have this mount right here, but I realize I'm probably gonna dox myself because I don't have a tint, so you can literally see everywhere I drive. Speaking of delivering a computer, typically I will charge, but since she's only 4 minutes away, I'm not gonna charge her for that. But when I do charge, I do it based off mileage. I want to get at least $2 for every mile. The person buying the computer, they seem like a mom. At least that's who I'm talking to. She has a kid. It sounds like it's for her, so that's kind of cool. She tried to haggle me down on the price. I had it listed at $550. She offered $500. I just came back and said $525 because keep in mind, like I said, it has been listed for almost 2 weeks now. Even getting the lower price, not my asking price, we're still making a pretty good amount of profit. And I'll talk to you about that after we sell it. And I just got to the destination, so I'll see you in a bit. Funds secured. We got $540 on Venmo. Like I said, she sent an offer of $525. That was gonna be cash. And then she's like, yeah, I can't get cash. Can you do $540 on Venmo? So we basically got our asking price. The profit is up on screen right now. Pretty juicy profit, but it did take like 2 weeks to sell. And that's because, well, at least in my opinion, one, it's like tax season, you know, Christmas just ended. Everyone's probably poor right now, so they don't want to spend money. But two, it's in an old generic like mid-tower case. Yeah, it has RGB, but it looks like every other computer case. It wasn't in a super nice looking like all glass case. Anyways, I just made it back to my apartment. So let's go back inside, and then I'll tell you my future plans for my computer flips and how I'm going to try to maximize my profit. If you've driven through a newly developed neighborhood, you've probably noticed a lot of the houses look alike. There's probably like 3 different types of houses, and they all look the same. And if you've been in any of the houses that do look alike, you've noticed the layout is exactly the same. Your shitter is in the same exact spot as your neighbor's shitter. Now the reason for that, when they're developing these new neighborhoods, it's easier to kind of just copy and paste a layout they know works instead of trying to create and redesign a new fresh idea every single time they want to build a house. So you'll find what I like to call cookie cutter houses all over the place. They look the same. They basically are the same, maybe just a different color on the outside. Well, that's my plan, to build computers just like this one here. I just barely built this today. It has a Ryzen 5 GTX 1070, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and of course, it's in a fish tank style case with RGB and cable extensions. Now that's not to say that all of my computer flips are going to be exactly the same, because that's just impossible when you're selling used gaming computers. What I am saying though is I found my cookie cutter house. So basically every computer build will at least be in a glass case like this, because aesthetics sell. We'll have an RGB cooler or RGB fans, and it will have cable extensions. Now, like I said with the neighborhoods, you'll typically see like 3 of the same designs just copy and pasted everywhere. So I'm going to have 2 computer builds that I copy and paste everywhere. I used to build super budget computers with like 2nd gen i5s, 8 gigs of DDR3, and like GTX 970s. And I am just tired of those specs, tired of building them, tired of testing them, and tired of selling them. So the builds that I am going to repeat every time are just like this one. There's going to be 2 different spec ranges. The first spec range is right here. It's going to be a base level Ryzen 5 2600 all the way up to like the Ryzen 5 3600X. For the graphics cards, it's going to be just like this one in here. GTX 1070 all the way on the base end up to GTX like 1080, 1080 Ti, and RTX 2060s and 2060 Supers. And then for the second range of specs, it's going to be like this, but instead of a base Ryzen 5 2600, it's going to be a base Ryzen 7 2700 up to like the 2700X, 3700X, and maybe like the 5800X. And then for the GPUs, this is where we start to step it up to the big boys. Gonna be using RTX like 2080 Supers, 2080s, RTX 3060, 3060 Ti's, and RTX 3070s. Now the reason for all of this is just to make the whole process of flipping computers a whole lot easier. I mean, it doesn't have to be this big old headache like, oh, what case am I gonna choose? Oh, what am I gonna do? Like, I already have a layout that works. Just like those cookie cutter houses, I'm just gonna copy and paste this so I don't have to think about it like every time. Just build the computer, my guy. If you did enjoy this type of flipping video, it is kind of different than what I normally do. Let me know down below by smashing that like button, and also drop some comments. I do read all of them. I may not reply to all of them, but I do actually read all of the comments. Anyways, I'm gonna start taking action on my plans starting now. Like I said, I just built this one up. I'm gonna test it out and get it listed. But that is gonna be in my next PC flipping until I buy a house episode. So make sure you smash that subscribe button and turn on those notifications so you don't miss the next time I upload.